Alright, so I want to make a video updating everyone on new cases as usual and then talk about some news of the day stuff. So, getting right into it here, both Alberta and Canada have gone way up over the past day. Canada's up to 10,132 cases. Alberta had 117 new cases yesterday, which the most prior to this is 79. So, that's way up over the last day. I think we had in the 60s yesterday, so that's up by like, 50, 60 cases almost in just a day. So that's not a good sign. Alberta's up to 11 dead, Canada 127. Again, Calgary's the area the worst hit by far. They have 527 cases with 6 dead. Edmonton has 219 cases with 3 dead, and then North Zone actually has 2 dead as well. And by the North Zone, I'm not sure exactly what they mean by that. If it's just everything north of the Edmonton area, or if there's areas to the east and west of Edmonton that are considered in there. So again, I'm not exactly sure what the geography is on that kind of stuff. I'd have to double check, but yeah, basically, I mean, Calgary. If you're outside Calgary and Edmonton, you're probably fine. And clearly, there was an outbreak somewhere that caused these 2 people to die and to have 51 cases. So it's probably a good idea to figure out where that is if you're in that area and avoid it. Not, I mean, you may already have figured it out, but yeah. Um, Alberta is up to 53,141 people tested, and of those, again, 871 have tested positive. So, if you clearly these people thought they had it, the overwhelming majority of them didn't. But again, it's very alarming that this many new people had it yesterday. So, yeah, we're gonna be in this for at least another month, I guess. But like I say, as May comes, like we can only keep the economy shut down for so long, and the problem with it is it's not just going to start right back up at where it was going to whenever we do decide to do that. The Canadian economy wasn't even doing very good to begin with, and it'll guaranteed be doing worse. It'll take at least my guess is 6 months minimum, maybe upwards of a year or two. It might never come back. It might take a decade. We don't know. So that's something that we need to take into account here. That the amount of cases is going up, but if we keep going along these lines, I think the take home point in the history books will be they destroyed their economy for a decade to save 10, 20,000 lives. Like I'm not sure like which one would you prefer. I mean, I don't know. Personally, I think there's a lot more suffering. If everyone is suffering for a decade, then that's worse than the 10 or 20,000 people that could die. But again, that's just my opinion. Other people may have better opinions or whatever. Maybe not better opinions, but different opinions. So that's just what I'm kind of thinking on this. Again, um, yeah, like I said, it's gonna stay like this for at least another while. My hope is that people finally get their heads on straight and just again, let's just take April. Say screw it, stay inside, go out as little as you can, and if you're going to go out, which I do suggest people go out, go for walks and stuff, but just avoid people. Don't touch things. Just go for walks. Go for a run. I mean, if you want to play, I mean, it's still too cold. It's like minus 20 overnight. In Edmonton, uh, so you can't really do a whole lot outside now. But once it warms up, but anyway, let's get into some other stuff here. This is from Stefan Molyneux. So great that the mainstream media spent the last couple of years talking about the real threat being Russia. No remorse, total sociopaths. And again, I got to rag on the mainstream media because they're partially responsible for this kind of stuff. Again, they've spent the last 4 years even ragging about how Russia is the real threat, and yet it's been China this whole time. And it's not like we weren't aware of it. Like Trump has been ragging on China since before this. So it's not like we didn't know. And Russia is not the threat. Like there was no evidence of it whatsoever. For all the people that still believe that, there's no evidence of it. Um, and again, it's crazy that we have a country that actually is doing damage to everywhere, not just the U.S. or Canada, and yet the mainstream media doesn't care. They don't care. which just goes to show just how little credibility they have, if any. But anyway, this is from Andy No. Ai Fen, the head of emergency at Wuhan Central Hospital, spoke publicly how the authorities stopped her and her colleagues from warning the public about the coronavirus in December. She is now missing. And again, it's probably safe to say that the Chinese government either has her locked up or killed her, like they did the other doctor that was warning about it in December. And this, again, this is just more evidence on top of the piles and piles of evidence we have that the Chinese government is lying about this kind of stuff. They've always been lying about it, and they're literally killing people to cover that up. And yet you still have these mostly lefties. You have the mainstream media running cover for China, and that just goes to show just how messed up they are. That rather than admit, that I mean, it's because they're communists. Let's just be honest, and because they prefer communism to capitalism, which is why they defend them. But anyway, that's where they're at too. That they're defending a government that has millions of people in concentration camps that kills dissidents, just because they don't want to admit that capitalism may be a better alternative, and that's absolutely disgusting. But again, China deserves the amount of blame that the Chinese government deserves when it comes to this kind of pandemic, whatever you want to call it, is infinite. They cannot get enough blame when it comes to this kind of stuff. But anyway, let's talk about another story here. This is from James Woods. And so loony liberals ridicule the guy who's donating 50,000 masks a day because of his religious beliefs. Solid democratic thinking yet again. And this is another thing that does not make any sense. That again, the left would rather see people die than see a Christian guy, be able to get some publicity. Like, it just goes to show just how partisan and the bubble they're in too. Like, if some lefty, let's say celebrity donated $1 million and spent that money to buy masks, I wouldn't call him out. Like, why would you call him out? I mean, one of these lefty celebrities probably has donated money, and yet where's the right ridiculing them over that? It's not happening. But yet you have this happen, and it's completely different. And that's why, even though I'm not a right winger, at least a traditional one, I tend to side with them more, just because the left is so crazy, like so crazy, so partisan. There's not even a comparison when it comes to that kind of stuff. So again, I wanted to talk about this because why would you criticize someone who's just doing the right thing? Like, he's basically going to be losing money. Like, he's not going to be able to run his. I mean, he'll be making profit off the mask, but I'd be surprised if it's the same as he made off his regular business. Um, and again, just can't. That's the thing that bothers me about the left, is that they can't give an inch. They can't give an inch, and that just goes to show that their beliefs are not shrouded in any shred of reality, reason, evidence, any of that kind of stuff. Because the right gives an inch all the time. And again, that is the big difference. And the last thing I want to talk about here is something that's pretty crazy, and it's something to keep in mind. So basically, this is from Kian Bexty. I'll go on to read what he says. Urgent, do not download. Justin Trudeau has released an information app for COVID-19 in Canada. With this app, Trudeau's government can access/record your exact location. My guess is that they can access the speakers too and hear what you're saying. Um, Stop your phone from turning off and read all your network data. Do not hand over your phone to them. And again, do not download this app. It wouldn't surprise me if what they do is that they make anybody who tests positive for it download this app, and then they'll track them through that. That's my guess, is what they're trying to get at, but they'll try and make it voluntary too. They'll play it off as the patriotic thing and all this kind of stuff, and they'll shame people who don't want to get it as conspiracy theorists, and they'll ascribe the worst motives they possibly can, which is what the left always do. They can't actually you know have an honest, cordial discussion about something. It always has to be ascribe the worst motives possible when it comes to something. But anyway, I wanted to bring this up because this is something that could get, if this keeps getting worse, it opens the door for something like this to be like, hey, everybody has to get this app, or at the very least, everybody who has tested positive for it, who has came in contact with someone who's tested positive for it, which is probably at this point half the population, maybe more, at least if it continues to grow, which means that most people are going to have to get this app, which means the government can track you, listen to you, all that kind of stuff. And again, that is straight out of 1984. That's authoritarian, draconian, something the Chinese government's probably doing. I mean, they are doing it. But anyway, I wanted to bring this up because I just seen this morning, and it's crazy to think of this kind of stuff could be going on. But anyway, I'm going to leave it there. If you like the video, make sure to hit that like and subscribe. I will be releasing a second video later today, so stay tuned for that. And I do have my PayPal linked in the description. I do have an email address for e-transfer. I appreciate any donations, but at the very least, just hit that like and subscribe if you haven't already.